Welcome to Mortgage Mondays. This is the show where we teach you what's going on in the mortgage industry and how you can take advantage of that to save money in real estate. Listen, if your real estate investing business was a meme, would it be Keanu Reeves sitting on a park bench holding a half-eaten sandwich looking really sad? If that's the case, don't feel bad, because lots of us feel that way. But after today's episode, you will feel as happy and optimistic as success, baby. Today's show, we are going to explain a tactic that will work for anybody in any market and is virtually guaranteed to succeed as long as you buy in the right locations. To join me with breaking down how this is executed and what loan products are available, I've got my partner, Christian Bachelder. Christian, welcome to Mortgage Mondays.
Appreciate it, David.
Christian, thank you for joining me today. I am excited to bring to light a strategy that so many people are overlooking, but it's virtually guaranteed to make someone money in real estate if they have the discipline to execute it. That's right. We are talking about the sneaky rental. Now, if you have gone to some of the BiggerPockets webinars that I do, you've heard me talk about the sneaky rental. You might have even heard Brandon Turner sneak it in as a little Easter egg. For a long time, this was a strategy that we weren't sharing with the masses because they took it for granted. People just don't think that it's going to work because it's too boring, but I like boring, and anybody who's building wealth through real estate probably has learned to do the same. Today's show, we're going to explain how you can get a rental property for 5% down, not 25% down, and ways that you can add value to that rental property with the money that you save, not putting it in the down payment. Christian, you excited to get into this today?
Very excited. Sneaky rentals.
The sneaky rental, that's right. Now look, here's the way that I tend to look at real estate investing and the challenges you have. First off, housing is expensive. Second off, it takes a lot of money to invest in real estate. Now, you can borrow the majority of that money from the bank, but when you're buying a $500,000 asset or more, 20% is a lot of money. And even if you're not good at math, you can know that 25% is even more money. You're talking about $100,000 for the down payment on a $500,000 house, plus closing costs, plus the money that you're going to have to spend to get that thing fixed up. It's not uncommon to need $125,000 to $175,000 to buy a $500,000 asset. And that takes a lot of money to save up. If people had $175,000 sitting around with nothing to do, they probably wouldn't be looking to invest in real estate. They'd probably be buying cheetahs in Abu Dhabi or sports cars or Beanie Baby collection, perhaps. But that's not the case, right? We're trying to get money. We don't have a ton of it already. Just one of the drawbacks to out-of-state investing or just buying rental properties in general is the down payments are high. One of the ways that I try to advise people that are trying to build wealth through real estate is to keep more of your money, put less of it into the down payment on the home, and put more of it into improving the home. Let me say that in a different way. If I could buy a property for $50,000 down instead of $150,000 down, I would have to borrow $100,000 more, which isn't wonderful, but rates are still historically low. They're still in the 6s and 7s right now. That's not the worst interest rate ever. But if I could keep $100,000 to put into the property, I can usually make it worth much more than the $100,000. I can also find ways to add units to the property that will make it cash flow more than it would in its current condition. Put another way, that $100,000 is more valuable to me to improve a property rather than just put on it and get the down payment higher so that I'm borrowing less. The sneaky rental tactic helps you to do that. Now, Christian, can you just go over briefly what people's lending options are when they're looking to buy a house, a investment property versus a primary residence, how they're different and which is better?
Just speaking from conventional guidelines, number one, you can use rental income for an investment property, whereas when you're putting the low down payment on a primary or second home, you do not get rental income credited. That's just words. What does that mean? When you qualify for a loan, we take all of your income versus all of your debts, calculate what's called your debt to income ratio. When you're buying an investment property, the bank, even though it's not your income yet, right? You don't own the property yet. You don't have any record, no tax returns, anything of renting out that property. The bank allows you to project what could be expected to rent that property for. Right? So that's $2,000 a month. Typically, they give you 75% of that. And it's as if you got a $1,500 raise at your work. Pretty cool, right? And when you buy a primary, that's a little bit of an obstacle now. Because even though you may be planning to convert a unit, convert a room, whatever the case is, the bank is projecting that you're owning that as your primary. And historically, Fannie Mae does not know what house hacking is, or they probably do. They're just not, super well versed in it. So there's not a guideline to allow you to rent out either rooms or future builds in your primary residence, with the one exception if you buy a multifamily. If you buy a true standing 2, 3, or 4 unit property, you can get the rental income from the other units you don't occupy, as well as a legal zoned permitted ADU. You can now use ADU income to help you qualify when you're going to be occupying the primary.
Okay, that's very good. What about just down payment options? What's it like on a conventional versus investment property?
Down payment for conventional, just like you said, you're talking the 5% for conventional, 3.5% FHA, 0 VA, whereas investments are 20 to 25%.
Right. Now, as you can see, 5% down versus 20 to 25% is a huge difference, okay?
Significant.
On this $500,000 property that we're talking about, 5% down is $25,000 versus 25% down is what, $125,000?
It's a little bit more.
Yeah. It's a big chunk of difference. Now, just to try to save that extra $100,000 or so, you might have to work for 4 years. What happens over 4 years of prices going up is you end up losing a lot of money trying to do this. So if there's ways to put less money down, it's better to do that and put more money into the property. Now, the problem comes when people look at it from a lens of, is it investment or is it my primary, instead of understanding the sneaky rental tactic, which can make it both. What our strategy involves here is buying a property with a very low down payment and keeping more of your money as a primary residence, moving into it and using some of the live-in flip strategies. This is where you buy a property, you move into it, you fix it up by the sweat of your brow and the work of your hands and the grease of your elbow. Make it worth more, live in it for 2 years, and then you sell it without having to pay capital gains. Well, you don't have to sell after 2 years. You can actually move out you can move out anytime. It takes about a year before you can get another primary residence loan. So we typically say live in it for a year, but that doesn't have to be the case. But you move out of it and you keep it as a rental. Don't have to wait 2 years, move out. Now, if during the time that you fixed it up and made it worth more, you actually added some space to it, you fixed out that basement, you turned the sunroom into another part of the house, you converted the garage, you created additional dwelling units or ADUs in that property. When you move out, you now have something very similar to the multifamily property that Christian was just describing, but you didn't have to put the higher down payment that multifamily properties require. You have essentially bought yourself a rental property for 5% down and took the money that you would have spent on the down payment and instead improve the property, also adding to the equity. Did I miss anything there, Christian?
No, I just want to expand on that by saying, imagine you do that every year. Just like you said, that 12-month period. Imagine you pick up one of those every single year at the end of, how long you planning on working for? 20, 25 years? How's that sound for a retirement plan? 25 houses. This sounds pretty good, right? Tried and true strategy. Obviously, there's been books written about it, right?
Yeah. Now let's take this and let's develop the idea even more. Let's say that you're normally spending $2,000 a month on rent, but when you buy a sneaky rental and then you develop it, making it 3 units instead of 1, you're able to rent out each of those units for $1,000, so that instead of your $2,000 in rent, you are having a mortgage that's around $2,000, but you're bringing in money from the additional rentals. In essence, you're saving $2,000 a month that you would have been spending on rent. That's about $24,000 a year, which works out very nice to another 5% down on a $500,000 house.
It's funny how that works.
If you get this right, your house will buy your next house, or at least the lion's share of it. Maybe it puts 80 or 90% of your down payment in savings, and you just work a little overtime or save a little money with the rest. You now get the next property, and now it's the same thing. But when you moved out of the first property, it starts to cash flow because you have that third unit that can be rented out. Now you're saving $2,000 a month in your housing expense, and you're making $1,000 a month from that third unit, or whatever the numbers are. It starts to snowball. Year 3, you do the same thing. Year 4, you do the same thing. Now those properties that you bought in years 1, 2, or 3, 10 years later are cash flowing really, really well, but you didn't have to put 20 or 25% down. Guys, I know this sounds too good to be true. It's not. You just need a little bit of discipline, a little bit of creativity, and every deal you buy, you have to make it better than when you bought it. You can't do this on turnkey properties. You can't do this on properties that are like blow you away. You just love it. You want a comfortable life. You are going to be sacrificing, but it's going to be in your comfort, not out of your pocketbook. And like Dave Ramsey says, if you live like no one else today, you can live like no one else later. It just involves discipline, and that's what makes the sneaky rental tactic work. Personally, I would much rather see people putting less money down on the real estate and more money into improving the real estate so that it will cash flow later. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I think, people who've asked me about it, I call it house hacking compounding, right? When you move out, that is sure, even if you were negative cash flow or just breaking even, when you move out, if that goes positive, in your example, you were saving that $24,000 a year. Well, when you move out, it goes to 36 because you get that third rental moved out, right? And that compounds, and now instead of saving 24, you got 36. Now what if you do it with the next house? Now it's 72. Now another house, you double that. Now you're at 150, and now you're starting to talk about some financial freedom, right?
Now the primary residences you bought have replaced your active income, and we haven't even talked about the equity that you created by adding square footage and adding units to each of those properties while they're appreciating. Now, another thing that I love about house hacking is it lets you take advantage of the three most important rules of real estate investing: location, location, location. We've all heard that. If you have to put 20 or 25% down on a property, you usually don't have enough money to buy into the best areas. But if you only have to put down 5%, you can get into the best school districts, the best economies, the best part of town, where the best jobs are, where wages are likely to grow, where there's the least amount of supply, the real estate that you want to own long-term for appreciation, but you also get the benefit of cash flow, which is why house hacking is boring. I get it. People at this point think that it's just like vegetables, but man, vegetables are good for you if you eat them for a long period of time. So Christian, if somebody wants to talk about primary residence loan options or just low down payment loan options, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, reach out to us. Our intake line is intake, INTAKE, at theonebrokerage.com. That is an email address. Please shoot us over an email. You can also find us at theonebrokerage.com. That's our company website.
And what's your Instagram handle?
_1_broker, the one broker, just like the one brokerage.
If you want to know what Christian looks like without super long hair, go to his Instagram and see what his picture is. You can also find me at David Greene 24. You have something you're going to say there?
Once upon a time, man. Once upon a time.
Now he just flexes every day.
Maybe if you guys go do a deep dive, you can see the exact opposite of this. Me without hair, David with it. How about that?
Yeah, you got to look far, but there are pictures out there of me with hair. That's funny. That's exactly right. All right. Thank you very much for joining us on Mortgage Monday. And do not despair. There are still ways you can make money in real estate in this market, getting to the best locations with as little of your capital as possible. It just requires a little different perspective on how to do it. I'm David Greene. He is Christian Bachelder, and we are BiggerPockets, bringing you the information that will make you money in real estate. Check out another episode of Mortgage Mondays if you'd like to learn more.